What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 350 of Opinions May Vary. I am your host, JR, and my co-host with me, Alex.
Hello.
How's it going?
Pretty good.
It's been cold. It's very cold in New England. Joining us we're doing something that we've said many times in the past. Like, I can't wait. We're gonna have you on again. Can't wait to talk to you again. But we're actually following up this time because it warrants following up. Last time we spoke with this very patient person waiting on the internet at length about maybe a third of the things that we actually wanted to talk about. So we decided to have this gentleman on again. He was kind enough to join us. Mr. Raymond Ramos, thank you so much for coming on again.
You're quite welcome. Cosplay Ray is in the house, people. You know what time it is.
We had the pleasure of talking with you last June, although I swear it felt more like, I thought it was like September. But it was last June. We chatted a bit about cosplay, getting into cosplay and things of that nature. And like I said, we barely even scratched the surface. And you were a lot of fun to chat with. So thanks again for coming on. We have a lot to get to today. It's going to be a fun one. We left you last time. You were getting ready to go to Comic-Con, CONN, like, because it's Connecticut, back in June. Yep. How was your Comic-Con?
Oh my gosh, man. I gotta say, Altered Reality always puts on one hell of a show. And I'm not just saying that because I'm one of the cosplay guests. It's just it gets bigger and better every year. I always have a blast every time I'm there. I'm there to enhance the show, take pictures with the fans, and just soak up all that positive energy in that type of environment. So yeah, I had a blast. I always have a blast. There's hardly a time that I don't have a blast, and there is that one time that I did not have a blast. We're going to get into that in a little bit.
So, I want to stay on this for a second because this was at what was this? Mohegan
Foxwoods.
Sun. That was Foxwoods.
Yep.
Because we went.
Foxwoods Casino Resorts.
And you were gonna bring Cyborg, right?
Yep, it was the debut of Cyborg. Oh my gosh!
And then, but you hadn't yet. When we spoke, you hadn't yet decided who else, if it was gonna be Nick Fury or Bane or Blade, I think. And I did you choose Bane? Was that who we ended up going with for the second day?
Damn, you know what? I can't even remember.
Well,
it was so much. I know. Okay, whatever it was, I know because Cyborg definitely. I know I definitely couldn't bring Batman because it was just the transport tubs were just. I wouldn't be able to bring both of those.
There's a lot of parts.
So, yes, there definitely was a lot of parts. I want to say. Damn, I might have to go and look at some of these pictures on my phone because I really don't. All I remember is Cyborg. That's how crazy it was.
But that was the debut of Cyborg.
Yeah, definitely. It was the debut of Cyborg, and boy, it went off. It went off very, very well. Definitely.
The lights looked great, and even afterwards, like as the convention's done, time goes by, and like I'm seeing people making their own Photoshop edits and like putting like crazy backgrounds behind you. It looked great.
Yo, they loved the costume that much, and I am like so honored. When people go and they just decide, they like the costume so much that they want to do a video, like a photo edit to it. Because then they end up hyping it up even that much more. I'm like, you know what? Wow.
I really dug it because, obviously there's a lot of hard work that went into it. And again, being from a background where I have no experience in that whatsoever, the outfit looks like it fit you, if that makes any sense. Because like sometimes when people have armor on, it's like, hey, I am definitely wearing armor. I'm wearing armor that's not normally on me. But like the Cyborg, it fit really well. Like it looked really well put together. It fit on your body nice, if that doesn't sound super weird. But like it seems like everything was really well done. So I understand that if it was causing a lot of commotion because like it's some top tier stuff.
Yeah, okay, and I just checked my photos. And it was Bane.
It was Bane?
Was Bane. The second costume, definitely, it was Bane. So yeah, Cyborg, I made it to fit well, and the character is, pretty close, I would say, to my dimensions, and so I think that's why a lot of people really wanted me to do the character in the first place, and they put the bug in my ear about possibility of doing the character, and I was like, you know what, I think I might be ready at this point to try and tackle that. It's based off of the other Batman builds that I've done in the past, and because those Batman builds were basically based off of tutorials. I said this before, from my friend Sean Zhang, who goes by Zhang Prod on YouTube. And when I got into wanting to build a Batman suit, his videos were the first ones that popped up. So I used a lot of that as structure to base how I started building my costumes. So Batman went off really well. Batman was very popular, still is, and it's one of my favorites to wear. It's one of my go-tos now, because everybody knows who Batman is. I don't have to worry about any weapons policies or anything like that because it's Batman. So when I did Cyborg, I designed it the same way that I designed Batman, but exterior-wise, as in visual, it was more designed to follow the images or reference pictures I found of Cyborg on the internet.
Do you know like what the basis for those references were? Like, was it more Injustice, the games? Because
no, it wasn't an Injustice video game. It was I found out it was. I think it's based off of the New 52.
Okay.
I'm not too familiar with the comic series. I don't read that. Believe it or not, I don't read a lot of comic books. I'm more like, I like watching the animated stuff and videos and movies and things of that nature. But I came across, originally I was gonna do the design kind of based off of Justice League War, but it wasn't a lot of detail work in there, and I like to put a lot of detail work into whatever it is that I'm doing. So, like I said, I always scan the internet for Google images for proper reference pictures, and I came across a statuette or something, and I think it was from, I don't want to say, it's definitely wasn't Hot Toys. I want to say Sideshow Collectibles. It was like a Sideshow collectible statue, and it was majorly impressive. Because anytime Sideshow does something, they put like as much detail as they can into their statues, and so I was like, wow, that right there is awesome, and it had so much detail. I was able to find a bunch of different viewpoints of it, and I was like, you know what? I think I'm gonna base my build off of this because this is freaking awesome, and I think I could pull that off.
We're very familiar with Sideshow, and because I've drooled over, they have like a 3-foot tall Sentinel that's been sold out for a few years. I couldn't afford it anyway because it's like $900 statue.
Yep.
And
yeah, probably more than that because those they're not cheap.
No, and currently like they still have a Lex Luthor statue of like their legacy whatever line it's called, and that's hovering around like $500. So when we get that, I just bought a car. So
someday,
it's not time for statues right now. But no, definitely, like Sideshow manages to make statues and figures that haven't literally been pulled out of a storyline in the comics, but they put their own spin on it. They put their own details. They managed to put together a figure that you automatically know who it is, but you don't need to like say, oh, that's from All-Star Superman, or oh, that's from this specific book or this specific run.
Right.
Like you just get it. You get it because they characterize it right and they get all the elements there, and it doesn't have to come from a specific source. And they just figure out, they know who the character is.
Yeah, and
that's really cool.
Yeah, all I know is that this one, when I looked on the information of the images, it was saying off of the New 52. And I have a friend, Eric Moran, who did a new 52 Cyborg, and it didn't look like that. So I was like, okay, well, what's going on? I'm like, so like you just said, you know, it was one of those things where they just decided to base it off of the new 52 Cyborg, but put a little of their own twist on it.
Mhm.
And boy, that I gravitated to that big time, because like I said, I'm a very detail oriented guy, and just all those details were just like screaming challenge, you know. And I was like, you know what, I definitely want to accept that challenge and see what I could do with it, you know, because I also don't do things exactly the way they are. I like to put my own spin on it as well.
Mhm.
So I used it as a base, but I took some liberties to change things here and there to suit my build the best that I, you know, make it a little easier for me to get certain parts to
Mhm.
look right, because there was some that were just like I just couldn't get it to look exactly like the shoulder pads. For whatever reason, they look kind of funky. So I was like, okay, you know what, whatever, scrap those. I'm gonna use the design off of the Arkham Knight shoulder pads,
Mhm.
but I'm gonna build them up so they look more like these shoulder pads in design wise. And as soon as I put the suit on, literally, I mean literally, as soon as I put the suit on and stepped out of the changing area, no more than 10 feet out from the door, the crowd had already got a look, and the photo frenzies just started. It was just like people just started surrounding me and taking photos, and I was like, oh my gosh, I was like really stunned on how fast the crowd reacted to Cyborg.
With what you had just said, so like, let's say you're mid build, is it really difficult to scrap a piece and start over, or like do you want to try and force it to work? Like, what's your over under on like what your decision
I don't
making?
like to force it.
Yeah.
I don't like to force anything. You know, I really don't like to force anything. In some ways, I let it become itself. Kind of like with the Joker in Batman. I want to say the Dark Knight. We're gonna say Dark Knight with the Joker, and he's talking with Harvey Dent, and he's like, you know what? I don't have a plan. I just do things, and that's pretty much how I kind of build. Sometimes I have an idea, but I just kind of let it sometimes develop into what it needs to develop into. And it just kind of goes that way. Like the white noise cannon, I had an idea that I wanted to go strictly pretty much Justice League War on that one. And the front part, I wanted it designed on an angle, on a 45-degree angle going inward and all this stuff. But it just didn't want to cooperate that way. So it just seemed like it just ended up becoming like the cannon on the statue. And as I kept going, I'm like, it looks like this is what I'm going to go with. So I'm just going to keep going with this. And it came out, everybody really loved the cannon. Like I said, they really just loved the entire suit. So if the build is saying I need to go left, then I'm not gonna fight it and say no, I want to go right. You know, if it feels the right way, I'm gonna go with how it just is like forming on its own. And I just like, okay, this is I'm scrap that idea, because obviously it wasn't gonna work. So we're gonna go with this.
And I imagine, you know, after, do you know how many hours you put into the cyborg suit?
It had to be at least maybe 6 months.
Jeez. So I imagine after that 6 months, you know, walking out at the show, you mentioned the second you were out the doors, people are already going nuts. I imagine it makes that entire 6-month process totally validated. Like, you know, all the struggles that you may have encountered with the suit, all the hours that you put into it. Like, is that just kind of it's all worth it at that point?
Yeah, you kind of walk out and you're just hoping for the best, you know, and you're just you enjoy what you have built, and I did. I tremendously enjoyed what I built, and as people know me, I share pretty much all my building process through either video or photos on social media. So there were a lot of people who were anxiously awaiting to see this build in person. They know what it looked like. They have seen a lot of people that saw what it was looking like already, and they were really excited about the build. So I already knew off the bat that, you know, it was worth it, because people were excited about it and people were complimenting it before I had even, you know, wore it to a convention. So I knew, I had a pretty good feeling and knew that, you know, I was happy with it either way, you know. So the people were happy with it. I was happy with it. So I was just expecting, you know, it's going to do well. You know, people already are gravitating toward this and it's going to do well. But I just I wasn't prepared on how well it did. I really wasn't. I was really taken back by how well Cyborg did. And, you know, I'm very thankful for the response that, you know, the crowd really gave, you know, the build.
Are you usually paced well, or do you suffer any con crunch, or like it's as done as it's gonna get, or like are you prepared for when the con comes?
Yeah, I always like to be prepared. I'm one of those guys. I'm not. I don't remember being a Boy Scout, which I might have, but I don't remember it. But I always like to be prepared, and I always give myself time. Mm-hmm. Like I knew in come January of the 2018 that Cyborg was going to be on the build list, and he was going to be the first thing on the build list. So I had more than enough time to get everything ready for the you know, what show that I wanted to debut it at.
That's not everyone plans that well.
Yeah,
typically where they think they do, and
you hear all about the con crunch. And like, I'm bringing my sewing machine to the hotel room.
That is not me. You get me under enough stress, you know, just with the build itself on its own. I'm not gonna allow it to like stretch into like, okay, well, I gotta stay up for like 48 hours to get this done. No, I value my sleep.
I have either I'll sleep when I'm in the grave, or God, I never want to get up, and there's no in between. I don't have an in between of like, yeah, sleep's okay. It's like, no, I love it, or no, I don't want it. Yep. I can fight through this. There's no middle ground.
I love to sleep. I love to sleep. I'm one of those guys. I love to sleep as a baby, I guess. I love to sleep in like kindergarten. I love to sleep in like second grade. When I shouldn't have. I'm an adult now, and I love to come home and take a nap. So
that's what's up. I resonate.
I value my sleep. You know, that's one thing I don't look forward to as much as going to a convention, is when I know I have to get up extra early, and there's no sleeping in on that weekend, because I got to get up extra early to go to a convention. And to go to New York this past November, I had to get up like at 5.
Yeah. Yep. Sounds about right. We have PAX Unplugged coming up in like 2 days, and that's in Philly. So we're leaving at about 5 a.m., I believe, to drive down. Not really looking forward to that. But it's worth it. It's worth it.
Yeah, the drives. Oh.
But one thing that's really neat, and we kind of touched on it a little bit, and you know, we meant to talk about it last time. We just didn't really get around to it, and it's not something that we're going to spend too much time on. I really dig how positive you are and how engaged in the community you are, despite the fact that there might be people out there who would aim to mock or destroy that. You know? And unfortunately, like, one thing, Raymond was kind of, I don't want to say targeted, but was shot in a video like a couple years ago.
Targeted's a good word.
Yeah. We'll stick
Target's a good word.
It's so I have a memory of this.
Yeah.
This was back in like 2015.
Yeah.
It was at Boston Comic Con.
Damn, it was that long ago?
Yeah, it was. It sure was. And we did Boston Comic Con. We had our table there, saying listen to our show and whatnot. And I think Brett was with us. And we may have seen you around. We obviously have at some point. And afterwards, a local radio station was doing their recap of the show. They sent a camera guy and some dude to do interviews. And with the general attitude that most morning shows take, they're the coolest people, and everything else is a target for ridicule.
Yep.
And that's how a lot of them go. And that's what's been popular for a bunch of years. And I feel like we're kind of getting out of that a bit more, and hopefully like we try to be a bit more positive in the world in general. But what was happening was they sent camera crew to the con to ask comic book questions. And for me, I was like, oh yeah, hit me with these questions. I got these. And they find you, they ask you questions, but they were asking like Marvel-based ones. And you were like, well, I'm more of a DC guy. And even then, I didn't have the answers to these.
Right.
And the video's not up anymore. I couldn't find it. I couldn't find the show episode. But the one I do remember was the opening of the Avengers movie, the first Avengers. What was the location that the Avengers movie started in?
Don't know.
Yeah, no one does.
No.
I mean, unless you read it on the screen and because you just watched the movie, it was like Department H or something.
Right.
And I was like, I didn't know it was Department H.
Nope.
How am I going to know that?
I would never know that. I could watch the movie 10 million times and I'd never know that.
And like that was one of the questions.
Yeah, I don't even know that. And I'm a big, live action, movie like that type of thing. But yeah, that's
the question.
Let's get to the nitty gritty.
That's what they hit you with. And then they decide,
let's get to the nitty-gritty. Let me break it down. Let me
do it.
All right. So I'm dressed as Bane. I'm walking around. These people come up. This particular radio station. Everybody knows the radio station, what it is, and so I'm not going to mention it.
Yeah.
And they say we're doing, and it wasn't just to me. They also interviewed a few other people that I knew, and they said, well, we're going to do like a game show. And we're going to ask you these questions that are, whatever, comic book or related. And then we're going to tape you and your responses. And then later on, we're going to take that footage and we're going to go back to our show. And our listeners in the morning, we're going to ask them the same questions and see, who had the answers. Now, first of all, I knew something was off when the guy finally let me know the name of the segment, and I think it was like, am I smarter than a comic book nerd or geek or something like that?
Right, yeah.
Right.
Or am I smarter than a comic book geek or a Comic Con nerd or something like that? And that word still, I know it's a lot more acceptable these days, and people like to be nerds and geeks and stuff like that, but I was made fun of a lot growing up, so that word still has some sting on it for me, and I don't really appreciate it.
It's something you almost have to judge who it's coming from.
Yeah, it's like, do they not know any better, or are they being malicious?
Yeah.
I don't think they really knew that much, because I think this was one of their first conventions that they had actually gotten into. Mm-hmm. So they didn't know too much about the culture. So by them, naming their segment that way, that they were just ignorant, and they had no clue really about what really they were doing. So I answered them, some of them. I try to stay in character, and some of them, if I didn't feel like answering them, I would just give this really Bane-like response to it. And so they do the interview, and they go back, obviously, and they go back to wherever they're from, and they do their show. Now, people start to call me and let me know what the heck just happened on this show. And I'm like, like I said, I was already kind of feeling funny about the name of the segment. But I was like, it's just a game show type of thing. Now, I have no problem with the person who did the interviewing. Mm-hmm. The guy was cool. He was funny. And I had no problem with him. So I finally get a chance to listen to this segment. and they are talking, and everything's going fine. Everything's going, the way that I figured it was gonna go. They asked their listener a question, then it was the same question I got, and then see if I answered it right or if they answered it right. But then all of a sudden, one of their whoever he was, one of the people that are in the studio decides to just go off script and start bashing me, like, as my character, as in he didn't think I did the character right, he didn't think I did the voice right, and then I'm like, okay, you got your opinion on that, that's fine, it's all good. But then when he starts making personal jabs at me personally, like comments like, oh, this guy probably lives at home in his mother's basement, oh, this guy can't be married, this guy ain't got no kids, type of deal like that. And then when I guess he saw the actual video clip, he's like, oh yeah, this guy he ain't in a relationship. And I was like, oh really? I'm like, all right, okay. So I got in touch with the people who did the show, and I let them know. I'm like, look, this segment has gone way off of where it was supposed to go. Now this man is publicly attacking my character and me as a person, and I didn't appreciate it. And I just let it be like at that. Try to be professional about it, try to be decent about it. But he kept on going, and the one thing this guy should have known is that if you mess with one cosplayer in this community, you're gonna pretty much mess with them all. And the rest of the community did not take well to this, and they retaliated and with their dislike of and displeasure and disgust for what this guy did. And so their show got a lot of negative backlash, and they tried to make they try to act like it was nothing, and they tried to give a phony apology video, which was more of making fun of the situation instead of actually being sorry for whatever it was they did.
It was just a textbook.
But then it got to
apology.
the point where, when did you stop getting? Then a lot of the people that cosplayers were starting to get very, very, very upset. So we had to try to steer them away and be like, look, we don't want to be on their level. We don't want to give them any fire or fuel for their fire. We've made our our statements. And the thing I really wanted was just to boycott anybody from future cosplayers or whatever, to boycott them. As in, if you see them at a show, just don't do an interview with them, because they're not to be trusted. But it like I said, it got really ugly, and they had a really big backlash of what it was that they were doing, and then they tried to flip it on the cosplay community and say that they were being the victim. So it got to the point where I had to get in touch with them more than a couple times and told them, look, you need to keep my name out your mouth.
It's pretty simple.
On the real, because I'm like, if I hear my name out your mouth one more time, I will take legal action. Because that always will put a fear of God into them and be like, okay, we don't want to get sued because of this. So I left it at that. I said, this is the last time I'm going to even say anything. If you continue to, I'm going to take legal action for bashing my demeanor and all that stuff. So that's what happened there. And there are certain radio stations that I'm apprehensive about because of this, that incident. But I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna hold everybody to their the bottom feeding people that they had in the room at the time. Like I said, the person that did the interview was fine with me, and he was in the studio almost trying to keep things on track and being like, hey, this guy did a good job. But it was only one bad apple that really ruined that whole segment.
There's a lot going on in this whole situation, because you can want to cosplay and dress up as a character, but then there's there's like a step where you just like, I'm just some dude in a costume versus I'm trying to be the character, where it's like I'm maybe once in a while I can get out a couple Mandarin lines that sound accurate, you know, because I want to fight Tony Stark or take away his empire or something. And I'll get that voice just right for a few lines, but then I'm going to crack up and I can't hold a whole conversation that way. It's not going to work out.
Me, I am one of the persons, when I'm in character, that's it. As soon as I put that costume on, for the most part, I am that character. And I'm an entertainer. That's how I think of it. I'm a cosplay entertainer. And there's a lot of us that are like that. And we're serious about the cosplays that we do. And, you know, every once in a while I'll break character if I feel like I want to, you know, give somebody a chuckle and give them a good laugh. Yeah. But for the most part, if I'm in dressed as Blade, you're gonna see me. That's literally part of who I am. You know, I'm also a martial artist myself, and that is part of my demeanor, is that seriousness. You know, for a good portion of my mindset. If I'm in Bane, what's the guy's name? Sean Connery voice. That's the best way I can think about it. I try to do my best Sean Connery voice and you know, impersonation when I'm in Bane, because there's a microphone in my mask and everything like that, so I can't get too loud with it. But for the most part, everybody loved my Bane performance, you know. And so for these people to just, not even these people, this person to, you know, just come out of left, you know, side of his neck. Like you said, it was a morning show. They're trying to keep up with like the Howard Sterns and stuff like that. So they feel like, ooh, okay, well maybe I can get a little bit of heat, you know, for saying this, but that guy got more heat than what he was expecting.
Like, I'm sure it started off as the original concept of like, oh, we'll do a little trivia challenge. But I feel if there's like 4 dudes in the room, I'm sure like half of them knew they weren't going to stick to that, and they just thought it was going to be open range to start throwing insults and whatnot. Like from the start, you could kind of tell like that's just what their mindset was going to be.
Yeah, you know, but you know what I say? Two tears in a bucket.
and
the guy wasn't worth it.
Yeah.
You know, I was almost at the point where I was like, you know what? You want ratings? How about we meet up and have a 3-minute, a 3-round sparring session? Because I heard apparently this guy was a former hockey player and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, well, let's do that. You want ratings? Let's do that and see how tough you are then. But I was like, you know what? That would just give them their show that much more, you know, fire for people to want to, you know, tune in and stuff like that. And I'm like, you know what? They don't deserve it. That guy was a piece of scum, in my opinion. Whether he purposely meant to make those comments, you know, because he that's how he actually felt, or he was just doing it to try to be entertaining. I didn't find it funny. You know, now if he had his own opinion about my character, that's one thing. But when you start actually talking about who I am as a person, when you don't know me and you're going to start attacking my character like that, that's when I was like, you know what, this guy could get pimp smacked.
There was a time when geeks, nerds, like, I'll make the joke that I'm a geek and a nerd, but I'm sitting in a room with 8,000 comic books in it, and I'm not going to lie about who or what I am. But to pick that audience in this age, when New York Comic Con's attendance is in the hundreds of thousands, San Diego Comic Con, hundreds of thousands.
Exactly. It's so popular right now, and you don't have the slightest clue of what you're doing.
Comic book movies are breaking billions of dollars.
And I guarantee you they've seen every single one of them. But it's like, oh, hey, I have some low-hanging fruit right here. And I was probably a piece of shit back in high school, too. And, like, this is going to, you know, take this opportunity to bully someone who can't talk back to me right now.
Right.
I'm going to validate my own existence.
Yes.
Like, it's just it's the lowest form of entertainment.
Yeah, and like I said, he's a bottom feeder. So we're going to take that bottom feeder. Do I have I got to get some paper to get a cradle sound. Hold on.
We got to get some props. How do you know we're talking to a cosplayer?
So we're gonna take that bottom feeder, and and in the garbage he goes, and that's enough of that.
But I definitely saw the community getting behind you.
Yep.
And it wasn't just cosplayers; it was convention goers in general and fans of comics and everything. And a lot of them were getting real fired up. And for the most part, I saw you being like, "It's in the past. We dealt with it at the time. We don't need to go any further." And like you definitely stood up for yourself, but also for the community to be like, we don't have to say any more about this. It's settled. So let's just, dial it back and keep on with our lives. We have more shit to do. They're going to do this thing they've been doing for the past 10 years. Let's keep on and doing our own thing. And so I applaud you for that as well.
I heard their ratings were kind of anyway. So.
so good on you for making that decision where, it's not worth more hassle and you're just going to keep rocking on what you're doing. So,
well, that's me, that's who I tried to be as best I can. Is like, okay, because he was like 2 buttons away from pushing the nuke button on me, and I that's not where I want to go. That's not who I want to portray myself as. But and you could only push some certain people so far before they're gonna be like, what. Like I said, you just need to get pimp smacked, and that's not going to solve anything. It really is not going to solve anything. Yeah. It's not going to change his mind. It's not going to change who he is and how he thinks. So it's like, what, I got out what I needed to say. I said what I needed to say. I felt very vindicated that the cosplay community stepped up and had my back the way they did, and and that's all that's really important to take out of it. The cosplay community is that, and for the most part, we look out for each other and we care about each other, and it's all about having a good time and enjoying the character and enjoying the fandom, and not paying attention to, like I said, bottom feeders like that. So okay, that's we don't want to talk about that for too long, because
I'm with you.
We could talk about that for an hour or two.
I do
go that way.
There's like one more very brief chapter. Your example was awesome, and so with what you've been saying and what we've been going on about is for any people into comics, into pop culture right now, into cosplay, if any of them are feeling bullied or targeted, you have this community around you. You felt their support and positivity. So anyone else who feels like they're kind of alone and they're doing this by themselves, there is support for them. There is a positive background to it, and they could seek it out and they'll be there for them, because all fans are just in it to have a good time. So don't let it, if anyone, just don't let it stress you.
Yeah, and don't let it ruin you having a good time. Don't let it affect you to the point where you feel like you can't go out and go to a show and dress up. And because it doesn't really matter. Cosplay is for everybody. It doesn't matter if you get the character 100% accurate, or if you do your own version of it. It doesn't matter. You're just going out there. You're gonna have a good time, and that's all that really matters. You're gonna go take some pictures. You're gonna meet some new friends. You're gonna have an experience that hopefully that you could take back and be like, wow, that was really fun. I can't wait to do it again.
Yeah, and again and again.
Yep. Now let's get back to the fun stuff. Now, since we last spoke, you've attended a couple cons, I imagine, throughout the summer, yeah? You said you went to New York?
Yeah, a couple. I don't go to. I'm not like one of those that goes to like every single show. I wish I had the funds to go to like every single show. So I go to a few a year, and I look back at everybody else going to like 10 during the course of a year, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I just wish I could. And just be able to hang out with all these people at all these different events. But I'm just, I'm happy for the ones that I can go to. Like you said, I went to Comic-Con in Foxwoods. That was phenomenal. That was awesome. Then there's Rhode Island Comic-Con. That was a blast as well. I mean, I got to meet the actor who plays Iron Fist and the girl who plays Colleen Wynn. So that was really cool. got into a picture with Kevin Conroy again. Ran into Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, X-Pac, Nathan Jones, some of the divas, and Dustin Rhodes, DDP, Ken Shamrock. So it's just a blast. So I have a blast everywhere I go. And the last event that I just recently went to was the Urban Action Showcase Expo in New York. It was at the I want to say AMC 25, I think, theater in Times Square, and they had an event. They were celebrating just action films like Enter the Dragon and stuff. But the thing that got me there was the 20th anniversary celebration of the movie Blade. And for anybody who knows me, Blade is the first real cosplay that I got involved with the Comic-Con scene with. And so 20 years later, I'm like, damn. It was an event that I could not miss. Since I started cosplaying, I had the privilege of starting a group with some really awesome people called the Blade Brotherhood, and we started off like maybe 6-7 people, and now it's like 63 members strong all across the country and over the world. We got people in New Zealand, we got people in Puerto Rico, we got people in England, all over the place, and a lot of us haven't met in person yet. Mm-hmm. So at this event, there were they were reaching out for us to be a part of the event, and so about a good 12 of us showed up, and some of them, like I said, I had never met, but we had been, corresponding over the years through Facebook, mm-hmm. and this was the first time for me to get to meet these people, and had an absolute ball. It was like a dream come true when it comes to hanging out with new people that you through Facebook or social media, but you haven't met yet. Mm-hmm. It was the best meet and greet situation that I've had in a very long time. So it was awesome.
So who was it that initiated getting in touch to do this? Was it the theater or?
Well, like I said, we have multiple members in our group, uh-huh. And the promoter of the show reached out to one of the members of the group, and my Blade brother Devon Thomas, and that's the Legend of the Daywalker right there, the real life Daywalker. He only does Blade, so he reached out to us and let us know that the promoter is reaching out to the Blade Brotherhood and want them to be involved. So he started putting the post up, and then I got in touch with the promoter, and I was like, hey, I founded the Brotherhood, can I be, can I get down? Can I be down? I want to be down. And I was like, I want to be part of it too. Can I be a spokesperson or as an ambassador? That's what the word is. Because Devon was an ambassador, and I was like, is it possible if I could be an ambassador too? He's like, yeah, sure. So we spread the word and kept posting it on our group page and the fan page and our regular pages and stuff like that. And that was a whole year in advance. So there were a lot of us that were just amped up for this. I mean, it was a year in the making, and it did not disappoint.
The pictures looked awesome. Like I've never seen that many blades in one place before.
It's probably a good thing, because otherwise they're probably trying to kill you.
There were no vampires within like 100-mile radius.
Like I said, there were only 12 of us there.
Yeah.
And I say only, but 12 is a lot to show up at an event doing the same character.
Yep.
Now, imagine if all 63, at the time it wasn't 63, at the time it was like 60 or so. Uh-huh. We added some more members after the event. But imagine if 60 people in Blade characters, not just necessarily Wesley Snipes' character as Blade, but whistlers. We have a whistler. There's a Nomak. There, we have lady daywalkers and things of that nature. But just imagine 60 people in costume showing up. That whole place would have been filled.
I want to be a whistler.
That whole area would have been filled, but like I said, it was 12 of us, about 12, and it was a phenomenal experience. I mean, like you said, you guys saw the pictures. We took pictures on top of pictures, and it was a 14-hour event. And
what?
It was a 14-hour event, and it felt like it was only like 6 hours.
Only
because that's how much we enjoyed the event and enjoyed, fellowshipping with each other and just talking, sharing stories, talking about the props or the characters and techniques on building weapons and that are safe for conventions and stuff like that. It was phenomenal.
One of my favorite parts was the guy who dressed up as original comic book Blade.
Show enough.
Is that who that?
Oh, I thought you were gonna say show enough.
I can't think of what his phrase was. From
which one are you talking about?
Yeah, what are we talking about?
The Shogun of Harlem.
What were you talking about?
You hit me with showing off, and I'm like, who is that? The Shogun of Harlem. Right. Anyway.
Yeah, it was from The Last Dragon.
Yeah.
The movie, the Barry Gordy's The Last Dragon, and the funny thing is, Bruce Leroy himself was on the other side of us.
Oh, that's right, because you said the Bruce Lee.
They were celebrating the Enter the Dragon, but yet they also had the Last Dragon star on the opposite side of us. He was behind the banner that we were in front of, and I tried to invite him over to take some photos, but he never came over to our side.
No, there's a guy dressed as the original Blade, like from the comic books, with his green coat and his stakes across his chest.
Yes, that's my Blade brother, Brian Gregory. He originally came in with the tan jacket. He was wearing the tan jacket, and then he said, "I'm gonna be back, and I'm gonna be back in the green one." And so he left, and then he came back, and he was wearing the green jacket. And it's really cool that he decided to do, like you said, the original Tomb of Dracula version of Blade.
I'm looking up what was his first appearance. Tomb of Dracula number 10.
Tomb of Dracula.
Yeah, number 10.
Tomb of Dracula.
No shit. Oh, that's right. He did have a brown jacket in that one.
Yep,
Anyway.
There's one where he has a brown jacket, and then there's another one where he has a green jacket.
When I saw him in your pictures, I was like, I immediately knew who that was. I was like, what's this guy doing? I was, no. That's like early Blade. That's vintage Blade.
Vintage.
Right.
Yep, that's vintage Blade. And he's the only one that does that. So, I give him mad credit for that, because I never thought about that, and I didn't really know about Blade until Wesley Snipes in New Line Cinema decided to come out with the movie.
Yeah.
When I was younger, like when the movie dropped and like you'd see it on like USA every now and then, heavily edited, obviously. I didn't even know Blade was like a Marvel character.
Yeah.
And I believe Blade showed up in the original Spider-Man cartoon back in the 90s.
Yeah.
Like,
he
in the Morbius episode.
He was hunting Morbius. Yeah.
Motorcycle. He had the leather jacket with some spikes on it and stuff like that. So,
and
he definitely was in that. And he's even in Ultimate Spider-Man now.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad to see he's getting that represent, because because we had Blade Trinity, and then it's just been kind of silent. I mean, Snipes. Like, I honestly nowadays I don't know if I could see anyone playing Blade other than Snipes.
They had
now for me, this is a perfect subject matter.
Okay.
For me,
I was gonna say they had a series for like one season, right?
Oh yeah, they did. I forgot about that.
Yes, Wesley. Nobody really is gonna do as well of a job playing Blade as Wesley. There are potentials in that, like, people that I know that are doing their own fan films and stuff, and these people definitely have potentials. But Blade, Wesley is, everybody's always going to associate Blade with Wesley. It's just, that's how it's going to be. Then they don't even think about the original vintage Blade as much as they do about Wesley's portrayal of Blade. So that for most people, that's what they're familiar with, and that's what they know. But then you said we had Blade, we had Blade 2, then we had Blade Trinity. After that, there was Blade the series that was on Spike TV.
Right.
And they got a rapper to play Blade, which is Kurt Jones, which in the rap world is AKA Sticky Fingers from Onyx. And I watch a lot of the back, special features and the commentaries and stuff like that. And the David Goyer and them, they thought he was the perfect like person to fill that role. They had gone through countless people, and they were like, forget it. And then when he came into the audition, they were like, okay, this is the guy. So, a lot of people like, they get all, really upset about it. But, these people did not, for whatever reason, want to have Wesley on that particular project, whether or not they just wanted to try to, take a different direction or what. I'm not really quite sure, but they wanted to do a separate thing type of deal. And they actually had that idea before any of the Blade movies had, the last one, the Trinity, had happened. But they were like, we're going to wait until these movies are done before we start working on this particular project that they had before, maybe like right after the Blade 1. So I am very thankful that they did what they did, because my hair is gone and it's not coming back. Okay, it grows back in spots, but it's not coming back. So I have to shave on a pretty much regular basis. And I felt uncomfortable at first when I was trying to do Blade, because obviously Blade had the really funky looking flat top, and there was no way that I was going to be able to pull that off. I thought about buying a wig and trying to style it and trim it like his hairstyle.
Yeah.
But then they came out with the television series, and they had a bald version of Blade. I was so thankful for that, because I'm like, now that gave me an opportunity to be Blade, but to look like me. Because he looked just almost like me. I mean, the bald with mustache and goatee type of deal, and I was like, that's all I needed. And that, I was able to take the sword and run with it after that.
I feel there's not many movie stars that take the step to changing into a TV star. Like, usually the budget's not there, the money's not there for them.
Yeah.
I mean, recent days it's gotten kind of weird because you do see that happening, but it's not the same. Like, Jonah Hill was in an 8-part Netflix series. So, like, does that count as a TV show, or is that just a different movie for him?
It's like a really long movie.
Right?
It's Netflix.
Pretty much.
Who was in that with him?
That was
Jonah Hill.
Was it Emma Stone?
Yes, Emma Stone. Yeah, another. I don't see her doing episodes.
She's an Oscar winner. She's
So that's my only thought of like why Wesley Snipes didn't, do a series. I read an interview, I think it was Goyer, unless it was someone else, they were like writing the first episode. Yeah, we'll end with this fight between Blade and like the vampire guy, and like the vampires are super strong, so he'll like throw cars at him. And the producer was like, we don't have the budget for that.
Yeah, this is a TV show, dog.
Here's a room in a sewer.
Yeah, pretty much. So, a lot of people, they got all upset about it. And it's like, look, whether or not, I don't know if Wesley was on board from the beginning of the television series, or if he just wanted to take a break from doing Blade. I don't know. But I know I'm pretty sure Wesley doesn't want anybody else portraying Blade, but him. But, they decided, it was a television thing, and they decided that, they were going to take it in a different direction. And I'm actually glad that they did, because, like I said, it gave me the opportunity to be able to be like, okay, feel more comfortable being Blade now, because now I'm like, well, that guy looked like me, and I have a twin who pretty much does that version of the television series of Blade, and he kills it. But I'm a big fan of the first movie. I love the tacticalness of his outfit and the vest and everything like that.
Yep.
So that's the costume that I've been doing since I started doing Blade. You know, I've heavily updated and upgraded it, but I just love that look. Now there are different versions of blades, like you said. I have a friend, Direct, who just did won an award for his fan film of him doing Blade,
No shit.
Blade Existence, and he has a blade that is in the comic books now. The blade that they show in the comic books now, with like he has these like tattoo type of things on his head.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's the blade that he does right now. And so it's nice to see that they're still evolving Blade, and that, you know, he's still out there. There's still comic books with him, and, you know, and people like myself and the Blade Brotherhood and these other people, other Daywalkers, we're keeping the franchise alive, you know,
Mm-hmm.
for the time being. So it's like it's been a while since we might have seen a new Blade movie, but I think Wesley, from what I understand, Wesley is in discussions with, you know, some peoples, and we're hoping to get, you know, Marvel's already announced that they're bringing Blade back. So it's just a matter of time before we probably see him in the DCU. I'm sorry, MCU. Oops.
It happens. I like, as you say, how you keep updating, and, you know, you have new stuff they want to keep doing to it. I spotted when you swapped out your long coat for the short coat, because I don't know how to describe it. It's got the diamond patterns in it.
It's a quilted
Yeah.
you know, coat.
Yeah.
I call like the trench coat a trench, and I call this just like a coat or
Yeah.
a jacket. It's quilted, and Wesley did use that in a couple of scenes. He had that look
Mm-hmm.
in a couple of scenes, and I like to have. I have now at least 3 different looks when it comes to Blade. There is, okay, obviously Blade wearing the trench coat and the quilted jacket with the vest. Then there is Blade just wearing the quilted jacket with the vest. Then there is Blade wearing just, you know, the t-shirt and the vest. And but then there's also Blade wearing just t-shirt, vest, and trench coat.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a couple of different versions of the look of Blade from the first movie that I really like to, you know, kind of wear. And at this November was the first time I actually got to wear the quilted jacket with the costume. Usually I don't wear it. It's usually either just the trench coat or just the, you know, the shirt. This my Blade is mostly the scene where he goes to their building complex after they kill Whistler.
Mm-hmm.
You
Spoilers.
know, and the one where he's in the hallway and he's just wearing the t-shirt, the vest. He's got the EDTA darts on his arm,
Yep.
and he uses them to explode the 2 vampires. That's the look that kind of gravitated toward, and that's the one I usually wear when I'm at a show or something like that. But, you know, I also do the whole trench coat, and now adding the quilted jacket in there, plus the Silver Stake shotgun, by the way, which was a new addition. So it's just really, I felt, has taken my Daywalker look, you know, that much farther. And I'm like, yeah, I just feel crazy badass with it.
In your last episode with us, you had mentioned Austin, who had done a really sweet Iron Man build, and I was wondering if did you go to Boston this year? Boston Comic Con?
I haven't been to Boston since they sold it to
Fan Expo.
Was it Fan Expo
Yeah,
now?
yeah.
I haven't been since they switched locations and they switched owners. So I haven't been yet. Maybe, I don't know, maybe this year, this upcoming 2019, God willing, maybe I'll head back down there. But it's like I haven't been since then. But yeah, Austin Vincent, that young man, is pretty much the person who put me on to working with foam.
Did you see?
And I'm forever grateful to that, that he actually took the time, and that's what I feel needs to be done. People should be able to share information and not, feel like they have to withhold stuff because they don't want somebody doing something that might look, give them competition.
Yeah.
Because it's not about competition. It's just about doing what you love and going out and, having fun with it.
I was gonna ask, did you see what he made and wore to Boston for his cosplay?
I'm figuring, because I know we keep in touch, and I've been, and I also see his page, and I know he was making the loader from Aliens. So I don't know if that's what he brought with him.
Yeah, he made the full power loader.
Yes. Yep.
And like he had to put it on like on the shipping docks to walk in to the con. And
it's a big thing. It's a big thing that he made.
The giant closet looks amazing.
He's an engineer. I think he's going to college to be an engineer.
Yeah.
And so that's his calling. To be an engineer, because he is able to just figure out all those little intricacies about building things. He put a lot of electronics and stuff into his foam costumes. And like I said, that young man put me on to the whole foam building. Before that, I was just doing the blade, and there was nothing wrong with that, but he really opened my eyes to being able to work with a whole nother medium that I really was able to gravitate towards. So that young man, I don't know if he competed or not, but most years he was beating me. Like if I was going to compete at the costume contest, he was usually always, he beat me out. But there was 2015. I got him. I got him in 2015.
They found a xenomorph.
He was doing Iron Man. He brought Iron Man back, and I debuted my Batman, and I got him that year. So I was like, oh yes, I finally got a win.
They managed to find a xenomorph alien at the convention, and brought the alien to Austin. And took a whole bunch of pictures with the two of them like battling. Yep. Him in the armor and the alien.
I'm not surprised.
As we get toward the end here, Raymond, time has flown by yet again. This seems to happen with your episodes. Do you have any? Are you doing any conventions in the near future? Anything you're planning on doing within in the next couple months that you wanted to hype up, or are you just kind of playing it low for now?
I'm playing it kind of low for now. I usually try to make it to all the alternate reality events. I know they just have a new one that they just started out with. It's going to be called Epic Comic Con. Not quite sure. I don't remember quite sure where that location is, but they also have they have one in New York. They have one in Colorado. They have one in Connecticut. They have one in Rhode Island. They're just growing, and I'm like so proud of the promoter and his whole team. For because I started with them at their local show in a VFW, and to see where they are now, it's just phenomenal. So I always like to try to be able to make it to their events. If I can make it to Boston this year, that'd be awesome. If I know the promoter would like us to go back to the Urban Action Showcase Expo and have that as a meeting place annually for the Blade Brotherhood, because we brought so much. From what we were told, we brought so much energy to the event, and a lot of people were really
safe from vampires.
Feeling it. Yeah, it was not safe for vampires at all.
Safe from vampires is what I said.
Yeah, definitely. There was a suck-free zone in that area. So we might show up at there next year, and maybe every year. Who knows? Or in November, we might have. I'm still waiting to hear from some of the other members to see if that's what they would like to do. There's a possibility I might be traveling to a couple other shows during the course of the year, and so I can't say anything about that yet because it's it's stuff that might be in the workings. But as costumes go, I like I said for Cyborg, I'm saying it right now in the new year. I want to start working on my version of Black Lightning based off of the CW television show.
Nice.
Jinx.
So I don't make a lot of costumes. I don't have room in my house for a lot of costumes. You know, they're already filling up as it is. I have 12 so far. So Black Lightning will be a bulkier build like Batman and Cyborg. So I don't know where I'm going to put it, but I'm not one of those that make like a lot of costumes, and because I don't go to a lot of shows during the course of the year. So I like to take the ones that I do have and, you know, revisit them, you know, fix them up and, you know, upgrade them where I can, you know, just to improve on them, because I really like these characters, you know, and I like to be these characters as often as I can, you know. So Blade, I'll always be, you know, a Blade cosplayer, you know, first and foremost. Bane, I enjoy wearing Bane out. Batman, I'll enjoy wearing Batman out. These are all things that I'm really passionate about, and I have an emotional connection to a lot of these characters. So I can't see myself just having like 100, because then I would never know which ones to really wear.
Yeah.
You know, I'd be like, I want to wear them all, but I can't. So what do I do?
Just wear one piece of each one. It's fine. It'll work out.
An amalgam.
You know, so yeah, I put a lot of work into Blade to get it to where, you know, where it is now. So I definitely want to be able to wear Blade to a couple more shows. But I only wear Blade to shows that the security know who I am and they know I'm not a threat, because obviously Blade is a walking weapon, and, you know, security, you know, weapons policies are very touchy right now. So a lot of my props they're all wood replicas that I made, you know. So I'm very selective of where I wear Blade. Batman, he can go anywhere. I can wear Batman anywhere, Bane anywhere, Roadblock, Nick Fury, I can, you know, the certain ones that I'm able to wear and I don't have to worry about. So, you know, Black Lightning I think will be a really good addition to the lineup.
Yeah,
I dig it. Raymond, thank you so much for coming on again. You are a true gentleman. It's always a pleasure speaking with you. Love the positivity, the energy that you put out with your craft. Thank you so much for coming on again.
Oh, thank you for asking me.
And you are always
good.
welcome.
Oh, good, baby.
Exactly. It took the words right out of my mouth. Hopefully we'll be able to run into you at a show sometime in the near future, or maybe even talk to you again. Who knows? But this is a lot of fun. Go and check out Raymond's cosplay page. You can find him on Facebook, Raymond Ramos Cosplay, or check him out at maybe a show near you if you're in the area. Check the cosplay list. Maybe you'll see.
Yeah, and you can also find me on the Blade Brotherhood. You can find me on We Are Epic Cosplay. You can find me on hashtag I Cosplay My Way.
All of
and
those.
Look out for me. Look out for me 2019. I'm saying it now. I will be, God willing, putting the YouTube channel together. So just keep an eye out for me. I've got a YouTube thing that I want to do. Everybody else is doing one. Why not me?
Exactly. You heard it here first. Keep your eyes peeled. Look out for that Cosplay Ray YouTube channel. This is a lot of fun. Again, big thank you to Raymond. I believe that's going to do it. I have to go get ready to go to Philly in a couple days, so it's going to be very cold. I have to get all the jackets.
have fun.
Yay, thanks. A lot of fun.
I'm not going.
Yeah, you're not. It's me and my man Colin. But yeah, I believe that's going to do it for this week. So until next time, I have been JR.
I'm Alex.
And this is Cosplay Ray.
And this has been episode 350 of Opinions May Vary.